Chapter 61 Bundesliga striker Wang Yechen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Ye Chen walk away, Xiangchuan was already gearing up to take the penalty kick, but Klopp's instructions from the sidelines immediately reached the field. Klopp clearly wants Ye Chen to top the scorer list. Right now, Ye Chen and Huntelaar are tied with 10 goals each, but Schalke 04 doesn't play until 7 p.m. If Ye Chen scores again, he'll be in first place all by himself. With the coach's signal, Ye Chen stepped forward. Shinji Kagawa patted him on the back. Go get them. Ye Chen nodded firmly. A one-goal lead is never safe. Leading by 2, especially with a man advantage, will break the opponent's spirit. Several of Dortmund starters are playing 3 games a week, pushing their physical limits, but Klopp has to use them again. That's the downside of not being a rich team. The drop-off between starters and subs is too significant. Even after winning the Bundesliga last season, Dortmund still isn't in the same league as the true giants. Think about it, do you ever see the big boys constantly selling their tactical core for cash? Dortmund's youth academy is top-notch, or the club would have collapsed already. Like Ajax in the Eredivisie, selling their star players always sets them back. But Dortmund manages to stay competitive despite the annual fire sale. Back to the game. As Ye Chen stood at the penalty spot, the stadium went silent. Lena looked worried, clasping her hands together and watching Ye Chen nervously. God bless him. Back in China, in the sports broadcast booth. This penalty is huge for Ye Chen, and a historic moment for China. Huang Jianxiang said excitedly into the microphone. After Ye Chen's last game, he already held the record for most goals scored by a Chinese player in a single season across the top 5 leagues, with 9. And with that long-distance goal, he became the first Chinese player to ever top the scorer list in any of the top 5 leagues. If he scores this goal, he'll be the outright Bundesliga top scorer. Something we never even dared dream of. Huang Jianxiang's voice trembled with excitement. Zhang Jun added, Ye Chen places the ball on the penalty spot, he's ready. Beep. The referee blew the whistle. Len Xian, in goal, looked at Ye Chen with a relaxed expression. As a former Bayern keeper, Lenzing has seen it all. Ye Chen runs up, no hesitation, and shoots to the lower left. Zhang Jun's voice suddenly soared. Here's the shot. He did it. Congratulations, Ye Chen. He's the first Chinese player to be the top scorer in the Bundesliga. Luan Xian guessed the wrong way, but watching the replay, Ye Chen made a subtle fake before shooting, fooling the goalkeeper. And the speed and angle were just perfect. Let's hear it for Ye Chen. He made it happen. Zhang Jun cheered, pumping his fist. And once again, they're playing Ye Chen's song at Westfalenstadion. Huang Jianxiang's eyes welled up. How can you not be moved? This former Red Devil has become the Bundesliga's top scorer in such a short time. I just want to ask Sir Ferguson, do you regret it, that it's not just Huang Jianxiang wondering that every fan who likes Ye Chen wants to know? Is he still being stubborn about this? The Westfalenstadion erupted again after the goal, and Ye Chen, after scoring, sprinted to the corner flag, raised his hand, and pointed his index finger skyward. Number 1 on the scorer list. He leaped, spun, and landed solidly. S-A-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U. Before Ye Chen could even shout, 80,000 fans roared it out. Goal! With that penalty, Ye Chen is the Bundesliga's top scorer. Let's all sing Ye Chen's song. The fans spontaneously broke into Ye Chen's song. Hala hala Yechen Yechen. Ye Chen from China. Can you imagine the energy of 80,000 people singing together? Hearing the song after scoring, Ye Chen got goosebumps all over. In that moment, he wanted to keep winning for Dortmund. Because they have the most dedicated fans in the world. He wants to take Dortmund to the top of Europe, no matter what. Ding, random mission activated, lead Dortmund to the top of Europe within 3 years. Mission success reward, Diamond Treasure Chest X2, 1000 points. Mission failure penalty, 1 SS level skill will be randomly deducted. Ye Chen was stunned. the rewards are incredible, but losing an SS-level skill? The system is brutal. His teammates swarmed him in a hug. Makino Tomoaki, who watched the penalty kick from the sidelines, sadly walked off the field. His Bundesliga future just took a nosedive. He looked like a total idiot out there. 2 simple mistakes ruined his Bundesliga career. Those arrogant Europeans won't give him another chance. But that's soccer, survival of the fittest. Cologne replaced Polish striker Pesko with midfielder Buckman. Their midfield got shredded. They need to reinforce the midfield to face Dortmund's attack. Solbakken, smiling before the game, looked grim. He was furious. Cologne had conceded 2 goals in the first half and were down a man on the road. With almost no organization, their confidence was crumbling. Now they were parking the bus in front of the goal, taking a page out of Mourinho's playbook. The Cologne players felt miserable, like they were being slowly tortured. Just end it, please stop. Only Podolski kept running tirelessly in the front court, but without any support. His efforts were futile. Maybe it's time for me to leave. Watching Yechen sprinting up front, Podolski saw a reflection of himself when he was young. He debuted in Cologne, scoring 12 goals his first season, becoming a Bundesliga sensation, even catching the eye of Bayern and joining the Bundesliga's biggest team. But now, he's back where he started, but the club no longer suits him. He suddenly envied Ye Chen. The 17-year-old is debuting with the reigning Bundesliga champions, Dortmund. He doesn't have to move or readjust. He has an amazing supporting cast. Kagawa, Götze, Gundogan, and Perisic are all incredible passers. Combined with his own talent, this year's Dortmund is even scarier than last year. A shocking thought crossed Podolski's mind: could this kid win the Bundesliga Golden Boot in his first year? No one has ever won the league Golden Boot in their rookie season. Especially in the Bundesliga, one of the top 5 leagues in the world. That record would be legendary. The Ye Chen myth. Chapter 62: Expelling Tomoaki Makino from Cologne. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Cologne hunkers down on defense, it's a real snooze fest. On the sidelines, Klopp was urging Ye Chen to take more shots from distance, but with their 3 midfielders clogged up front, plus Podolski and Chihi dropping back to defend, Ye Chen was barely getting a chance to even wind up. Everyone's hyper-focused on him because he's been so lethal from long range for Dortmund lately, but that only fueled Ye Chen's competitive fire. The more they tried to shut him down, the more determined he became to find a way to score. Ye Chen started trying to dribble past defenders, using his footwork to create space, but you can only do so much on your own. As soon as he got past one guy, another would immediately step up and cut off his angle. That's why breaking down a packed defense is one of the toughest challenges in soccer. Of course, the Dortmund fans were loving it, especially since they were already up by 2 and hammering Cologne's goal. Ye Chen knew he couldn't crack the defense all by himself, so he started looking to link up with Kagawa and Götze. But the first half ended scoreless. As he headed into the tunnel at halftime, the fans, who were excited about his performance, gave him high fives. Back in China, Dortmund's fan forums were blowing up, posts were popping up everywhere. How dare that Zhejiang guy talk trash before the game? Ye Chen might have the highest soccer IQ in the game right now. Analyzing Ye Chen's goals from the first half: pure power on the first, pure brilliance on the second. Come see what girls who love Ye Chen look like. Is Tomoaki Makino actually trash? Video inside that will change your mind. Naturally, plenty of guys clicked on the link with the girls. Some checked out Makino's defensive highlights, too. As a Bundesliga player, Makino Tomoaki was a lock for the Sakura country national team. He even started most games. He was only benched because his form had dipped in Cologne. Before he went to Germany, though, he was the undisputed anchor of Sanfrecce Hiroshima's defense. Not only did he score 4 goals one season, but his rock-solid defending earned him a spot on the J-League Best 11. That's what caught Cologne's eye. The video was posted by a fan studying in Sakura country. It showed Makino Tomoaki as a striker's worst nightmare. 5 minutes of footage showed him shutting down Huaxia players with perfectly timed tackles and interceptions, a defensive masterclass. It was hard to believe it was the same Makino Tomoaki who looked lost on the field. Could this really be the same guy? The comments section was going wild. Is this Zhejiang guy really that good? Whoa, so it's not that Zhejiang sucks, it's that Ye Chen's a god. No comparison, no foul. The sea cucumber team forwards were completely shut down. After watching this video, I finally understand how amazing Ye Chen really is. I bet this post is just trying to pump up Ye Chen. OP deserves an award. Selling films plus V. The post went viral. Meanwhile, back in Germany, the atmosphere in Cologne's locker room was icy cold. Solbakken glared at Tomoaki Makino. Is this how you repay my faith in you? I'm sorry, boss. Sorry doesn't cut it. If it did, we wouldn't need contracts, Solbakken snapped. I'm officially telling you that you're no longer part of the first team. No. Tomoaki Makino gasped. Boss, give me another chance. Who's going to give me a chance if I give you one? Solbakken hissed. The game was practically over, and someone had to take the blame. Tomoaki Makino was the perfect scapegoat. In the Bundesliga, it's common to scout for promising, cheap players from weaker soccer nations. Makino Tomoaki, with his Bundesliga experience, seemed like a smart choice. What was the most important thing? He was young. After a year or two in the Bundesliga, they could flip him back to the J-League and make a tidy profit. But his performance had been a complete disaster. This kind of player needed to be shown the door ASAP. But going back home like this would be a disgrace. He'd be a laughingstock. Suddenly, Tomoaki Makino dropped to his knees and prostrated himself on the floor. Boss, please, give me one last chance. I can't go back like this. Solbakken's face remained cold. Pollock, take him out to cool off. And make sure you contact the manager to get him out of the team ASAP. Understood. Assistant coach Pollock marched over to Makino Tomoaki. Get up, you useless piece of trash. Makino Tomoaki looked at Solbakken with pleading eyes, but they were filled with hate. It was all Ye Chen's fault. If he ever got the chance, he'd make him pay, and, as it turns out, Ye Chen would indeed meet him on the field again someday. But by then, everything would be different. One would be in hell, the other in heaven. Cologne's locker room was a deep freeze, but Dortmund's was rocking. Guys, great job. Klopp praised everyone, giving Ye Chen a thumbs up. Ye, your performance today was outstanding. Thanks, boss. Ye Chen smiled. Feeling confident about scoring another one? That'd make it 4 straight hat tricks. Klopp said, grinning. He was clearly in high spirits. When the team desperately needed to chase points, with their main striker injured and their backup exhausted, Ye Chen had stepped up and led the charge. What's not to like? I. Ye Chen hesitated. Just then, he got a system notification. Ding! Random mission activated. Score another goal in this game to complete a hat trick. Success earns 100 points. Failure deducts 100 points. Ye Chen grimaced. He only had 120 points, earned from his 9 goals in the past 3 games. He was planning to save up for new cleats. Was this system trying to steal his points? Damn it! Did it think he couldn't score without long-range shots? What are you hesitating for? Stop being a wimp. Klopp said, raising an eyebrow. Of course, I can. Watch, I'm definitely getting a hat trick today. Ye Chen clenched his fist and roared. He'd show that system he could score even if they shut down his long-range shots. Chapter 63 Fighting for 4 consecutive hat tricks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The second half was underway. Dortmund's strategy remained the same, but Ye Chen's eyes blazed with determination. He knew he was Dortmund's sharpest weapon, and therefore the target. But if he couldn't break through the defense when targeted, how could he ever face tougher challenges later on? This was the perfect opportunity to step up his game. Welcome back to Sports 5, folks. I'm Huang Jianxiang, your commentator for today, joined by my partner, Zhang Jun. Huang Jianxiang's energy was restored after halftime. Zhang Jun smiled. The first half was a thriller, but in the second half, Cologne is parking the bus to slow Dortmund's attack, keeping Ye Chen's goal count frozen at 2. However, those 2 goals put Ye Chen at the top of the scorer list, one ahead of Huntelaar. Wang Jianxiang nodded. The second half is starting. Can Ye Chen score another and complete his 4th hat-trick? Let's see what happens. It's like a dream. A Chinese teenager has scored in 4 straight Bundesliga games, with 3 hat-tricks. Unbelievable. Zhang Jun said, amazed. Historically, Dong Fangzhou scored the most goals for a Chinese player in Europe, with 39. But in the top 5 leagues, Ye Chen scored 16. Dong Fangzhou scored many of his goals in the Belgian second division, even winning the Golden Boot with 18 league goals in a season, but even the Belgian league is behind the Bundesliga, especially since Dong Fangzhou was in the second division. Dong Fangzhou is back in China now, recovering from injuries. Without those injuries, he could still be playing in some lower-tier leagues overseas. Ye Chen has 4 goals in only 11 appearances, and with the second half just beginning, everyone wants him to score again for consecutive hat-tricks. Ye Chen's name will become a legend in Bundesliga history. It already is, actually. No player has ever achieved 3 consecutive hat-tricks since the Bundesliga began. Now, Ye Chen is aiming for his 4th. He scored 2 goals in the first half, so it's definitely possible. Cologne made adjustments during the break. Down 2-0, they're playing for pride. At 53 minutes, 24 seconds, Cologne's Ranegi carried the ball into Dortmund's half, but Kyle and Sven Bender immediately double-teamed him. Rangnick passed to Podolski, but Subotic kicked the ball to Piszczek on the right. Piszczek passed to Götze, and Dortmund launched a counterattack. Ye Chen, Kagawa, and Schmelzer charged forward. Götze dribbled forward, and when Eichner moved to intercept, he passed diagonally to Ye Chen as Ye Chen received the ball. Kagawa cut through Cologne's defense. Ye Chen accelerated, and as Sereno moved to intercept, he sent a through ball, perfectly placed. Goalkeeper Rinchin hesitated, and Kagawa received the ball comfortably. Kagawa volleyed it in. The ball hit the far corner, and Lenzing dove in vain. He jumped up, yelling at his teammates. Are you pros? Don't you know how to block passing lanes? Lenzing was furious, but Sereno fired back, you're so great, why didn't you save it? All you do is complain, right? Cologne's likely relegation this season makes sense. Without teamwork, results suffer. The Westfalenstadion erupted, as Kagawa wrapped an arm around Ye Chen and ran to the corner. He was showing the fans that Ye Chen deserved half the credit. Ye Chen had a decent shot himself, but the angle was tight and Kagawa was in a better position. A blind shot would have made him look selfish. Ye Chen likes to cooperate, like Benzema, spotting his teammates' runs, but the hat-trick wasn't done yet, so there was more work to do. He needed 100 points to win 10 games, a lot. And he really wanted those Falcon sneakers from the system store. They boosted stats and looked cool. The game continued, Cologne crumbled, and Dortmund attacked fluidly. Klopp made substitutions, replacing Shinji Kagawa with Kuba, switching to 3-5-2. Götze was replaced by Gundogan. With Kagawa and Götze out, they needed a playmaker like Gundogan. Gundogan's entry led to Dortmund's 4th goal. At 75 minutes, 28 seconds, Ye Chen unleashed a powerful long shot, but Lenzing made a diving save, deflecting it over the crossbar. Corner kick for Dortmund. Gundogan's corner found Hummels, who rose above everyone and headed the ball in. Dortmund fans were ecstatic. That was awesome. Dortmund hadn't won 4-0 since last year. Yellow fireworks filled the south stand, creating a sea of yellow. But the game wasn't over. About 20 minutes remained, including stoppage time. Klopp told Moritz Leitner to warm up, planning to replace Ye Chen at 80 minutes to let him soak in the cheers. Reward for his performance. A 17-year-old playing for 80 minutes, with 2 goals and an assist, was incredible. But the game restarted, and Ye Chen pressed forward to win the ball. Klopp and the Dortmund fans were stunned. What was Ye Chen doing? Wasn't 4-0 enough? Seeing Ye Chen's tireless effort, his teammates remembered him saying in the locker room, just watch, I'm getting a hat-trick today. That he hadn't given up. How could they stand by? What are you waiting for? Run! Kyle shouted, charging forward. That was why Dortmund won the title last season. Their cohesion, they were willing to do anything for Ye Chen's hat-trick. Ye Chen smiled, seeing this. Hat-trick or not, this was unforgettable. But scoring when tightly marked would be tough, like playing mobile games. You might lose the game, but Liu Ban had to die. Even if you positioned well, 5 opponents determined to kill you wouldn't give you any space. Cologne knew Dortmund's plan, and Buckman marked Ye Chen, while others closed in. They didn't care if other players scored, but Ye Chen wouldn't score again. For hat-tricks in a row was too big, and they didn't want to be part of that history. They were playing for Cologne's honor. Chapter 64. If it was Messi, what would he do? You are listening at novelfull.audio. If you ignored the scoreboard and just watched the game, you'd never believe it was 4-0. Dortmund looked like the team that was behind, with every player relentlessly pressing and the fans were going wild, acting like the team's 12th man. Dortmund was completely united. However, Dortmund's late-game pressure fired up Cologne. A man's got his pride. If they gave up now, they'd be the laughingstock of the entire Bundesliga. They were fighting for the team's honor and their own dignity. Every player on the field was giving it their all. They were playing with even more intensity than at the start. At 78 minutes and 35 seconds, Ye Chen was tackled from behind as soon as he got the ball. Dortmund got a free kick 38 meters from the goal. Ye Chen wasn't even going to bother trying without a guaranteed goal card for long-range shots. At 79 minutes and 12 seconds, Ye Chen dropped back to receive the ball, but his passing lane was cut off. Just as he hesitated, Reinisch darted out and stole the ball. Fortunately, Sven Bender hustled back and kicked the ball out of bounds, but Sven Bender, despite his excellent fitness, was cramping up badly. At 81 minutes and 24 seconds, Klopp made his final substitution. 19-year-old Moritz Leitner, fresh from the second team, replaced the cramping Sven Bender. Sven Bender was known for his defense. He wasn't completely useless on offense, but he was barely a Super League-level threat. Leitner, on the other hand, was a talented midfielder from Dortmund's second team. Klopp promoted him to the first team because of his slick skills and passing. Before sending him on, Klopp gave him one order: get the ball to Ye Chen. What Ye Chen did with it was up to him. Klopp wanted to experiment in the last 10 minutes. Could Ye Chen be the tactical core without Shinji Kagawa? Klopp actually preferred a 4-3-3 formation to the 4-2-3-1. Like Barcelona's tiki-taka, their 4-3-3 was a true offensive and defensive system. The attacking midfielder in a 4-2-3-1 can't handle too many defensive duties. When the team doesn't have the ball, the attacking midfielder is often invisible, leaving the team a man down. That's why the traditional attacking midfielder will eventually disappear from tactical systems. So Ye Chen wasn't just competing with Levon and Barrios, but also Shinji Kagawa, Perisic, and Götze. Of course, De Bruyne's transformation was the most successful. He went from an attacking midfielder to an all-around midfielder. With the ball, he could break through and deliver threatening passes like a traditional attacking midfielder. Without the ball, he could run and counter-press. Once a player develops the necessary physical and technical abilities, he can be a threat with or without the ball. A defensive midfielder who is also an offensive threat is more valuable than an attacking midfielder who is only a threat when he has possession. But Ye Chen's passing was only average, so Klopp didn't see him as a midfielder. He wanted to see if Ye Chen was suited to playing as a lone striker. If not, what about playing as a winger? A 17-year-old player has endless potential. Dortmund's current left winger was just Perisic, and Grosskreutz and Lowe weren't even close to his level. Dortmund's midfield now consisted of Gundogan, Kyle, and Leitner. Kyle, the defensive specialist, dropped back into Sven Bender's position, mirroring Barcelona's Busquets. Gundogan was the midfield orchestrator, like Barcelona's Xavi. Leitner was the supporting playmaker, the Dortmund version of Iniesta. That meant Ye Chen was up against a low-rent Messi, even if they were cheap imitations. It was still worth a shot. Dortmund controlled possession in the final minutes, but the discount Messi up front couldn't get the ball. Watching Ye Chen struggle, Klopp felt like he was losing it, thinking of making a 17-year-old kid the tactical core. He knew this experiment was probably a pipe dream, but what if? What if Ye Chen was that one-of-a-kind player? The teams continued to battle fiercely. As soon as Ye Chen got the ball, two defenders would swarm him, one blocking his path and the other waiting to steal the ball. Ye Chen could barely turn and face the goal. Cologne's coach Solbakken was excited. "Great job, guys. Just keep guarding him like that." Solbakken, who had been down all game, was finally happy. He should have realized it sooner. The kid was fast, but not if you didn't let him get up to speed. Plus, he wasn't physically strong. He was tall, but he couldn't hold the ball with his back to the defender. As soon as Dortmund passed to Ye Chen, Cologne would swarm him and prevent him from turning. A player who can't even face the goal can't score. Time ticked away. Solbakken started yelling, "Keep an eye on him. Don't let him get near the goal." Ye Chen glanced at the clownish Solbakken and frowned. The clown was him. He was having a rough time out there. The constant fouls were making it hard to get the ball. But just give up. No way. The game wasn't over, so he wouldn't quit. Klopp saw that Ye Chen's speed had dropped off and sighed. He had been too hasty. Ye Chen was only 17 and this was his first Bundesliga start. It was already a miracle he had lasted this long. Expecting him to be the core in the final minutes was too much. But Klopp didn't give up. He kept applauding to encourage the players. Ye Chen hadn't given up yet. He was still moving, still looking for an opening. Gundogan had the ball. He glanced at Ye Chen's position and decided against passing. Cologne intensified their efforts after being reminded by their coach, sending 2 or 3 players to mark Ye Chen. One was behind him, preventing him from turning. The other was in front, intercepting passes. The third was nearby, ready to help. Ye Chen was getting superstar treatment. Just like Real Madrid's Ronaldo and Barcelona's Messi. What would Messi do? Suddenly, an idea popped into Ye Chen's head. He looked at Leitner with the ball and ran toward him. "Give me the ball." Okay. Leitner passed to Ye Chen without hesitating. Ye Chen had the ball and was facing the goal, but Buchmann was already on him. Ye Chen started moving forward. Everyone was stunned as Ye Chen ran toward the referee. The referee was bewildered. Who was he? Where was he? What was he supposed to do? Oh my God, Ye's using a pick and roll like he's on a basketball court. The referee is Ye Chen's tool. The commentator exclaimed. Ye Chen broke to the left, making the referee step back, and that step was all it took to bump into Buchmann. Ye Chen took off, using the referee's pick to shake off the first defender, but Matuszak was charging in from the right and Sereno was also in front of him. Ye Chen didn't slow down. Sereno blocked his path, and Matuszak was ready to tackle, but as Matuszak slid in, Ye Chen flicked the ball to the right, dodging the tackle. Matuszak's sole grazed Ye Chen, causing him to stumble, but Ye Chen kept control and poked the ball through Sereno's legs. Then, Ye Chen kicked his heels on the ground, dodged past Sereno, and caught up with the ball, into the box. Goalkeeper Rensing charged out. "Finally, I have to do it myself." Rensing thought confidently, but as he rushed out, Ye Chen chipped the ball looped over Rensing. Rensing tried to stop himself, but his momentum caused him to fall on the grass. Watching the ball drop into the net, silence. Then, an explosion. Westfalenstadion erupted. Chapter 65. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ghoul. Holy crap, did you see that? The announcer was losing it, practically screaming into the mic. He was holding his head, completely speechless. I can't believe what I just witnessed. Ye, after grinding it out for 90+ minutes, just pulled off his 4th hat trick with an unbelievable goal, weaving through 3 defenders at the very last second. This is insane. It's a miracle, that he punctuated each word with a shout. Okay, people, who scored the 5th goal? The crowd went wild, yelling back, Ye. It was Ye. My man, Ye. Oh my God, Ye is the king of Westphalia. Words just don't do it justice. Even fans of the visiting team, everyone in the stadium was stunned. Kuba, who was closest to the action, was frozen, eyes wide, staring in disbelief at Ye Chen as he sprinted toward the south stands to celebrate. What just happened? A miracle. That goal was a masterpiece of skill, smarts, and perfect execution. He was beyond words, the roar of the crowd was deafening. Kuba just managed to mutter, "Damn, well, he's not a poet," but he got the point across. Back on the sidelines, the coach, Klopp, was staring at Ye Chen, who was pumping his fist in the corner, with a look of total disbelief mixed with a huge grin. He buried his face in his hands. Across from him, Solbakken just sat there, slumped on the bench, a blank look on his face. He'd done everything he could. His players had given it their all. He looked at Matuszek, sprawled on the ground, unable to get up, at Sereno, shaking with exhaustion, at Bucht, gasping for air, too tired to give chase. He couldn't fault them, they left it all on the field, but Ye Chen, at that moment, yeah, he was touched by God. The commentator had it right. 1 minute of stoppage time left. In China, the 5 sports channels carrying the game. The commentators were starting to look worried. Ye Chen was in trouble. Ye Chen has been having a rough 10 minutes. Cologne is treating him like he's made of gold, swarming him every time he touches the ball. Huang Jianxiang's voice, familiar to millions, filled the air. Zhang Jun agreed, he's still a young player, just breaking into the pros. When he's facing a double team, or even a triple team, it's tough to know what to do. Let's be real, Ye Chen is only 17. Cologne is throwing everything at him. Huang Jianxiang said, sounding frustrated. Seeing Ye Chen bottled up was making him anxious. True enough. Zhang Jun chuckled. Think about it, Ye Chen already has 2 goals and an assist today, including that corner kick that he launched into the box. He's been involved in 4 goals. If I were the Cologne coach, I'd be doing the same thing. I get it, but it still sucks to watch him get shut down like that. Huang Jianxiang sighed. He's done great. But after this performance, you can bet every team will be targeting Ye Chen like this in the future. Zhang Jun said seriously, which just goes to show how dangerous Ye Chen is. You can't defend him one-on-one, but if you double-team him, you leave someone else open, then it comes down to whether your teammates can make the play. That's the difference between good players and superstars. As they were talking, Ye Chen dropped back to receive the ball again. Ye Chen's drifting back to get the ball. Even though he's far from the penalty area, he's dragging a defender with him. Huang Jianxiang's voice suddenly jumped up a notch. What's he doing? Zhang Jun's eyes widened. Well, that's a new one. Ye Chen just used the referee to set a pick, like he's playing basketball. That kid's got a head on his shoulders. Ye Chen used the ref to shake Buchtman, but Sereno is closing in. Matuszek is sliding in with a tackle. Oh, my. What did I just see? Ye Chen's out there playing the violin with his right foot. Oh, no. Matuszek's cleats clipped Ye Chen, but he's still got control of the ball. Sereno's coming in hot, and, beautiful nutmeg. It's just him and the goalie, Lenzing. Lenzing is charging off his line. He shoots. He shoots. Unbelievable. He scores. He scores. He scores. Both Huang Jianxiang and Zhang Jun were halfway out of their chairs, glued to the screen. Just a second ago, they were worried about Ye Chen. Now, Ye Chen had answered all their questions in spectacular fashion. Huang Jianxiang was shouting at the top of his lungs. All the fans watching this are going nuts right now. Because we don't have to be jealous of Argentina or Portugal anymore. We've got our own Messi, our own Ronaldo. His name is Ye Chen. Zhang Jun chimed in, from now on, nobody in the Bundesliga will forget the name Ye Chen. I believe that, in the future, Ye Chen's name will be known around the world. He will become a superstar like Yao Ming, leading a new era. That the deafening song of Ye Chen was echoing through Westfalen Stadion. And Zhang Jun and Huang Jianxiang started singing along. Hala hala Yechen Yechen. Ye Chen from China. Our favorite Chinese boy, Yechen Yechen. Our all-powerful Ye Chen. Ye Chen's song flooded into homes through TV sets, and countless fans were tearing up, Chinese fans have been waiting for this moment for so long. There's no shortage of passionate fans in China, but they need someone to believe in. Now, a 17-year-old kid is tearing it up in the Bundesliga, wearing that yellow jersey. He's a force of nature. Epic. Fighting the gods. I'm officially a Ye Chen fanatic. I'm crying. I have to see Ye Chen play in person before I die. How can you not love Ye Chen? Argentina has Messi, Portugal has Ronaldo, England has Rooney, Brazil has Neymar, and China has Ye Chen. We don't have to envy them anymore. Teacher Jean's commentary is insane. Nobody in the Bundesliga doesn't know the king. I want to see who dares to underestimate Ye Chen now. Wake up, the Football Association says hold my beer. Unbelievable. Talented goal scorer with 4 hat tricks rejected due to lack of strength. Ye Chen was writing poetry with his feet. Every goal he scored was a slap in the face of the Football Association. Of course, Ye Chen didn't need to say a word. The angry fans were already flooding the official website of the Football Association. Chapter 66 Manchester United lost at least one Ronaldo this time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The president of the U.S. Soccer Federation actually apologized to me. Do you even know anything about soccer? Don't you know who China's top dog is right now? You're still saying we're obsessed with foreign stuff. You're just living in a bubble. You idiots, probably grew up without decent food. Grumpy Brother has officially gone live. At first, fans could send messages and leave comments, but then there were so many of them that the website crashed. At Westfalenstadion, Ye Chen kissed the team logo, celebrating his victory. He knew his last goal was all thanks to his teammates. If they hadn't been running their butts off to draw defenders away, Ye Chen would have been facing a wall of guys. Of course, there was a little luck involved in that goal, too, but hey, luck is part of the game. He just pulled off something unheard of. 4 straight hat tricks. He didn't know what the future held, he just wanted to enjoy the moment. The fans roared their approval, and his teammates swarmed him, giving him huge hugs. I knew you could do it. Kyle yelled, grinning like a proud mom. You had to shout to be heard over the noise. What surprised Ye Chen the most was seeing Götze, who wasn't even on the field anymore. The little dude had sprinted like crazy all the way from the bench just to hug Ye Chen after the goal. Ye, you're incredible. I believe what you said now. Götze shouted, pumped up. Huh? What? Lena's the one who told you to hurry up. Götze bellowed. Ye Chen suddenly turned bright red. Dude, are you trying to get me killed? Gotta get out of here. Ye Chen picked up his pace and jogged back to midfield, leaving Götze in stitches. The 4th official held up a sign for 3 minutes of stoppage time, but neither team seemed interested in attacking in the final minutes. After the 3 minutes were up, the ref blew the final whistle. Ye Chen raised his hand in triumph. He did it. His first start for Dortmund, a win for the team, and a hat trick for him. 3 birds with 1 stone, and it felt amazing. The referee walked over and handed Ye Chen the game ball with a smile. Ye, your performance today was outstanding. I'm a fan, but when you're good enough, the haters disappear, replaced by a friendly smile. It's an honor, thank you, Mr. Zwell. Ye Chen accepted the football with both hands, beaming. Keep up the great work. My son's a huge fan. Zwell shook Ye Chen's hand and left, satisfied. Thank you, that a skilled and polite kid is more likely to win people over. Of course, skill comes first. This was already the 4th game ball Ye Chen had snagged. It's an unwritten rule in soccer that the player who scores a hat trick gets to keep the ball. Because of the previous 3 hat tricks, Ye Chen already had 3 footballs at home, each labeled with the opponent and score. Hey, Ye, if you keep doing hat tricks like this, your family could open a store and sell footballs. Podolski said, strolling over and ripping off his shirt, showing off his legendary 6-pack. Mind swapping jerseys? Of course, Lucas. Ye Chen said with a smile, taking off his own jersey, but secretly resolving to hit the gym harder. Those 6-pack abs and the hint of a V-line were a total chick magnet. He was still too skinny. I was hoping to outscore you in this game, but you got 3, and I didn't get any. Podolski said, a little bummed. Ye Chen lowered his voice. Let's move to a different team. Cologne's just too small of a stage. Podolski and Gomez were the main forwards for the German national team, but who started and who came off the bench depended on their form. Coach Lowe favored Podolski and treated him like a son, but because of his club performance, Gomez had more respect from the media and fans. So Lowe was feeling the pressure. Podolski seemed ready to break out this season. Next year was the 2012 European Cup, and he wanted to cement his spot as Germany's main striker, but only he knew how frustrating it was to see his teammates struggle. But this was the club that had raised him. He was caught between loyalty and ambition, but Ye Chen had no right to worry about other people. As long as Podolski wasn't injured, he was guaranteed a spot on the German national team. But what about him? Time to put on some Jay Chou's I'm not worthy. Dortmund's players bowed to the fans in the stands, and the cheers erupted again. Even though this game had just ended, everyone was already looking forward to the next one. They were happy this week, at least, but not happy enough, because Bayern was playing Hannover 96 that evening, and if Bayern lost, now that would be true happiness. With the end of this game, Dortmund, with a 5-0 victory, now had 19 points. With Bayern having played one less game, Dortmund was only 3 points behind. If Bayern lost their game, then Dortmund's away game against Bayern in the 13th round of the Bundesliga would be a showdown. It was practically a championship battle playing out early. As the game ended, the German media went wild with the results. 4 straight hat tricks. Chinese sensation Ye leads Dortmund back to second place. The new king is crowned. Dortmund striker Ye dominates with 12 goals in 4 games. Takes the top spot on the scorers list. Who said Dortmund kissed the championship goodbye? Bundesliga round 10 ends, and Dortmund is back in second. Attention, Bundesliga giants. Giant killer. Is back. Comprehensive analysis of Dortmund's new striker, Ye Chen. How many millions did Manchester United just throw away? Explosive headlines plastered the front pages, and more people were learning about Dortmund's new striker. When people clicked on the scorers list, they were blown away. They thought Huntelaar was the best foreign player, but they looked away for a few days, and nobody had taken the lead. Even the most respected Bundesliga publications, Kicker and Sports Pictures, gave the headlines to this 17-year-old kid from China. Keep in mind that these were high-quality publications, not tabloids. Kicker ran the headline Manchester United ditches talent, Bundesliga gets a steal. Kicker, the oldest and most professional publication, analyzed everything from Ye Chen's game performance and future potential, to the rising value of German players, to the potential of the Chinese market. They arrived at a conservative estimate: Manchester United had lost out on their very own Ronaldo. Chapter 67. The Guinness Book of World Records hasn't been broken yet. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In 2009, Ronaldo's move from Manchester United to Real Madrid cost them a cool £80 million, about €96 million. Is Ye Chen worth that kind of money right now? No way. But his potential? Absolutely. And let's not forget the massive Chinese market he brings with him. Park Ji-sung turned Manchester United into South Korea's favorite team. Kagawa Shinji did the same for Dortmund in Japan. Ye Chen could have that same impact. When Manchester United toured Asia, 2 teams always drew the biggest crowds in China, Manchester United and Real Madrid. Honestly, Real Madrid probably got more attention even when they weren't winning. Fans just loved watching those superstars. But then Dong Fangzhou signed with Manchester United, and suddenly all eyes in China were on them. Over time, Manchester United became their team, leaving Real Madrid in the dust. Dong Fangzhou might have been a financial flop in terms of transfer fees, but the boost he gave their brand was unbelievable. Now, out of nowhere, comes Ye Chen. This was supposed to be Manchester United's big play to dominate the Asian market, but they ended up shooting themselves in the foot. They even cut Ye Chen loose while he was playing like a rock star. Judging by how he's performing now, even if he doesn't become the next Ronaldo, leading the Bundesliga is a piece of cake, think of him like Yao Ming in the NBA. He didn't reach Kobe's level, but everyone talked about him, that's the power of China. Especially when it comes to all-star voting, the Chinese people bring those big numbers to bear. Back in 05 and 06, they outvoted James, Kobe, O'Neal, Iverson, all the big names, to become the top all-star voters. The NBA had to change the rules to stop it. It hasn't happened since, but Yao Ming remains the only international player to top the all-star voting. Ye Chen has now racked up 4 straight hat-tricks, hitting 12 goals. He's not only the Bundesliga's top scorer, but he's also made Bundesliga history and is riding at #1, but he still hasn't broken the world record. Japanese striker Masashi Nakayama scored a crazy 16 goals in 4 consecutive games in the J-League back in '98. Guinness World Record certified that one, while Ye Chen's 12 goals in 4 games is a Bundesliga record, even a record for the top 5 leagues, the world record still belongs to Japan. Meanwhile, Ye Chen didn't know all this. After scoring his 4th straight hat-trick, Klopp dragged him along to the post-game press conference. Honestly, it was a first for Ye Chen, and he was a little nervous. When Ye Chen showed up, the reporters immediately erupted in applause. Some even whistled, praising him for a job well done. Klopp looked pleased with himself. I know you all have a ton of questions for Ye. So, I'm bringing him in for an interview, but it's up to Ye Chen whether he wants to answer or not. Klopp gestured for him to take the stage. A beautiful woman in the audience, looking like a total MILF, raised her hand, looking excited. You. The press officer said to her. We know your girlfriend Lena is Solskjaer's daughter. But besides that sweet-looking little thing, would you ever go for a hot body like mine? The woman winked at Ye Chen. The room erupted in laughter. It had nothing to do with the game, but it was definitely a question everyone wanted answered. Ye Chen glanced at Klopp, who just shrugged. Like I said, it's up to you. Ye Chen didn't hold back. Right now, it's all about Lena. Other girls, sorry, the woman said regretfully. Oh no. There's a saying back in China, young men don't know the beauty of their elder sisters, and treat the young ones like they're made of gold. You'll regret this. Nah, Lena's gonna grow into her own. Miss you, someday, Ye Chen said calmly. The guys in the room applauded. Gotta hand it to Ye Chen, that was a slick answer. A muscular black guy raised his hand and asked, this is your 4th straight hat-trick, setting a Bundesliga record. Anything you wanna say about that? Ye Chen smiled. Thanks to the coach for giving me so many opportunities, thanks to the fans for their continued support, and thanks to my girlfriend Lena. Sorry, sounds like an acceptance speech, but setting a record definitely makes me happy. I hope to get more people to love football and bring honor to the club. The reporters chuckled. Ye Chen was showcasing that Chinese humility and humor. Just then, an Asian man in a suit raised his hand, looking all prim and proper. The press officer thought he was from China and wanted to add fuel to this feel-good moment, but the reporter stood and said in broken German, I am Taro Jono, a reporter from Tokyo Sports News in Japan. I want to state that what you achieved is only a Bundesliga record. The Guinness record for 4 consecutive hat-tricks is still held by Mr. Masashi Nakayama of Japan. Facing your 4 hat-tricks and 16 goals, do you think Mr. Nakayama is greater than you? What did you say that guy's name was? Nakayama shit? That meme of Ye Chen suddenly popped into his head. Is there really someone named shit? But then Ye Chen remembered people being named Zhejiang, so whatever, Cherry Blossom Country had only learned so much about China anyway. It's Mr. Masashi Nakayama. He scored 5 goals in the opening game of the J-League, a 5 success. Then, he scored 4 goals in 4 games, totaling 16 goals. That's way harder than what you did. Jono Taro said proudly. Ye Chen looked confused. Oh. Since when did the J-League become better than the Bundesliga? The reporters around him picked up on what the Japanese reporter was implying and looked at him like he was an idiot. Hey, do you even know what you're saying? The J-League's not even in the same league as our Bundesliga. What a narrow-minded fool. If you can't say anything smart, just shut your mouth. Despite the ridicule, Jono Taro stood his ground. He declared loudly, whether you want to admit it or not, the Guinness record for these 4 consecutive hat tricks belongs to Japan. Our Mr. Nakayama is the talented player the football world should remember. Hearing all that, the crowd got even more fired up. Ye Chen suddenly thought the Chinese Football Association desperately needed this kind of talent. Seeing the smug look on Jono Taro's face, Ye Chen frowned. 5 straight games would be better than 4, right? Huh? The reporter was stunned. You think you're gonna score 5 hat tricks in a row? Do you think hat tricks are that easy? Ye Chen just smirked. Yeah. Never argue with an idiot. Chapter 68 Ye Chen's attitude towards the national team. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In fact, you don't need me to tell you how hard it is to score 4 hat tricks in a row. If it were easy, someone would have broken the record a long time ago. Think about it, even legends like Maradona, Pelé, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, and Messi haven't pulled that off. That's why sports outlets like Kicker gave Ye Chen some serious coverage, and sure, Ye Chen put in the work, but the team helped him rack up all those hat tricks too. Dortmund's one of the best in the Bundesliga, after all. Plus, out of his 4 opponents, only Werder Bremen was really a challenge. Mainz, Augsburg, and Cologne are all weaker teams. Come to think of it, that Werder Bremen game was a real grind. He was up against Nardo, a Brazilian international. That dude is tough. Jono Taro sank back into his seat, but the other reporters still had questions lined up. We just got word from our station that Cologne officially terminated Tomoaki Makino's contract. Any thoughts? Ye Chen chuckled, then turned serious. That's a real shame to hear. Bad news for all the other teams' forwards, I'd say. Pfft. Everyone thought Ye Chen would give some PR answer, but he just couldn't resist. Savage. Brutal. Jono Taro pumped his fist from the audience, but the press officer ignored him. Li Xinran got called on next. The press officer knew her pretty well since Klopp always made a point to talk to her. Everyone knows why you left the U17 national team, but what I want to know is if the senior national team calls you up, will you join? Will you have issues with them? Li Xinran asked Ye Chen, all business. This was the question burning in her mind, but her newspaper wouldn't let her ask it. They're partners with the Football Association, after all, but she needed to know the answer, and so did thousands of fans. If Ye Chen gets the call, will he play for the national team? So many fans are already dreaming of Ye Chen suiting up and leading them to victory. Honestly, Ye Chen was a little surprised by the question. He wondered why Li Xinran would even ask something so sensitive, but he didn't dodge it. He wanted to make his position clear. First off, let me say that I've always been proud to be Chinese. It's etched in my bones, and I'll never forget it. Before I turned 17, my dream was to be on the Huaxia national team. Even if it meant just training with the team, picking up stray balls, bringing the guys towels and water, I would have done it. But I don't dream about that anymore. When football gets too political, when you have to play by a different set of rules even on the field, what's the point in going back? I know a lot of fans want me to play for my country. But let me make it clear, it's not that I don't want to play for my country. They just don't rate me. Actually. A cold smile flickered across Ye Chen's face. At this point, I wouldn't even associate with them. Li Xinran shuddered. Was this 17-year-old kid for real? Where did he get this kind of presence? Who are you talking about? Li Xinran asked, swallowing hard. The whole football association, of course. Ye Chen grinned. Until they clean house completely, I'm staying out of that mess. Before 17, his dream was to play for his country and bring glory to the red jersey, but expecting one guy to drag the national team to the World Cup. He wasn't a freaking god. Ye Chen could already picture it. He's busting his butt to win, and his teammates won't even bother to run. Not that they can't run, they just don't want to. Showing up is enough for them. Show up, get paid, end of story. The Football Association's rotten to the core, and he can't fix it alone, so he was laying it all out there. He knew saying this would trigger a storm of hate online, maybe even cyberbullying, but he didn't care. He had to say it. Even if everyone turns against him. Someone had to call out the Football Association for its failures, even if people think he's just mouthing off now. Li Xinran was speechless. She realized her question had just opened a can of worms. If this interview gets out, there'll be hell to pay. But Ye Chen said all this in German, so the other reporters were clueless. What's the deal with the China national football team? Why did they kick Ye out of U17? Anyone know? You don't even know that. What kind of sports reporter are you? What happened? I don't follow Chinese news. Everyone loves a good scandal. Ye Chen's words had piqued everyone's curiosity. Just then, Ye Chen stood up and said to Klopp, "Coach, I'm heading back to the locker room." "All right, go ahead," Klopp replied with a smile. Honestly, he felt for Ye Chen. At his age, Ye Chen should be surrounded by love and support, but he was on his own. Sometimes Klopp wondered, if I were Ye Chen, could I handle it? He couldn't be sure. He couldn't imagine that kind of loneliness, a guy adrift in the world, like a boat without an anchor. How much strength must it take to shine like that in the Bundesliga? That was why Klopp kept saying Ye Chen was something special. He knew Ye Chen would reach heights he could only dream of. As he watched Ye Chen walk away, Klopp's smile vanished, replaced by a steely gaze. "What's your name?" Klopp pointed at Jono Taro. "Doesn't matter. Tell Tokyo Sports News to send someone else to our press conferences. And don't you ever disrespect Ye again." "Why? Do I have to explain myself? My rules are my rules." Klopp slammed his hand on the table, cutting him off. Faced with true power, the guy from Japan immediately shrunk. The room went silent. Klopp rarely got this mad. Even after a loss, he wouldn't get this angry, but Ye Chen was now his weak spot. "You mess with him, you mess with Klopp." Klopp turned to Li Xinran. "Miss Li, you're Ye's friend, but I hope you won't ask him about the national team again in the future." "Okay, I understand." Li Xinran nodded quickly. Klopp nodded, satisfied. "Honestly, if I were Low, I'd personally beg Ye to join the national team. Then I wouldn't have to keep agonizing over Gomez and Podolski." Everyone gasped. Did Klopp just say that Ye was better than Gomez and Podolski? As they were processing that, Klopp laughed. "Don't question me. Ask Low. You'll see if Ye Chen would consider playing for Germany. Oh, and by the way, next game, the team's doing everything they can to help Ye break the Guinness World Record for individual goals." Chapter 69. Ye Chen, you are not alone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The post-match press conference wrapped up, and the reporters looked satisfied. Some were even lingering, eager to share the breaking news. Ye Chen, it's not that I don't want to play for my country, they just don't think I'm good enough. How bad is the Chinese national team? Ye Chen, the Bundesliga record breaker, snubbed by selectors. Shocking. Tomoaki Makino leaves the Bundesliga, opposing forwards weep. Klopp, Gomez and Podolski are better. Ask Low if you don't believe me. Ye Chen, 4 hat-tricks not a record. How about 5? Ye Chen, I wouldn't be caught dead with the Chinese Football Association. The brief press conference was a bombshell. Meanwhile, Ye Chen, the focus of it all, was escorted from the locker room by uniformed staff, accompanied by assistant coach Buvak. Cologne's coach, Solbakken, complained to the organizers that you used performance-enhancing drugs. They need a urine sample, Buvak explained. Ye Chen laughed. Sour grapes, huh? That he had nothing to hide. The Bundesliga takes drug testing seriously. They watch you the whole time during collection. Luckily, Ye Chen was gifted, a cut above the rest. Otherwise, he might have felt intimidated by the European scrutiny. It was a routine test, common in tournaments like the Euros and World Cup. However, the news of Ye Chen being taken away still spread like wildfire. Perception is everything. The same routine test in the Bundesliga took on a different meaning when photos surfaced back in China. Breaking. Ye Chen arrested by German Football Association for drug use. The real reason behind Ye Chen's 12 goals in 4 games. Pics inside. Still cheering for Ye Chen. See the truth about him. Sensational headlines exploded online, creating a huge uproar. Fans had just enjoyed Dortmund's game. Now this, even the most critical fans who usually blasted the Football Association online were stunned. In the Football Association's office, a fat middle-aged man, cigar in hand, smirked. See? Problem solved the moment I stepped in. You're a genius, bro-in-law. Beautiful play, Tan Bing said, giving a thumbs up. But where'd these photos come from? None of the mainstream papers printed them. I sent Wang Bo to Germany. Huh? Why'd Wang Bo go to Germany? To keep an eye on Ye Chen, of course. He won't let me live easy, and I sure won't let him. Liang Kai-lai said, eyes narrowed with malice, because Ye Chen didn't have close connections back home. He wasn't aware of the situation immediately. An hour later, Li Xinran told him, she had already informed headquarters about the urine test, but received no response. Li Xinran suspected foul play. The online sentiment was overwhelmingly negative. I knew it was too good to be true for a Chinese player. No wonder he's so explosive. Turns out, he's juiced up. What a joke, I didn't expect to follow a drug addict, so I'm going to return Dortmund's jersey. Many jumped on the bandwagon, but some stood by Ye Chen. Guys, are you blind? These are just small, trashy news sites. No reputable sports outlets are reporting this. Some rumors are nothing more than excuses, and I am really convinced. Get out of trouble with those fans. Ye Chen doesn't need such fans. Wait for official confirmation, people. Learn to tell real news from fake news. Ye Chen's supporters clashed with his detractors. Then, another wave of explosive news hit the internet. Ye Chen, I wouldn't be caught dead with the Chinese Football Association. Ye Chen, I'll join the national team, but the Football Association needs to reform. Ye Chen's ultimatum, no Football Association reform, no national team. News reports and translated interview clips flooded in. The Football Association responded immediately to the appearance of the press conference video. *** Disciplinary action against player Ye Chen. **** Player Ye Chen failed to train and compete seriously while abroad, setting a bad example. He engaged in relationships before reaching maturity, negatively influencing young fans, and made false statements at the club's post-match press conference, damaging the Football Association's reputation. The Football Association hereby imposes a 3-year ban from all national football competitions. The shorter the message, the bigger the thing. Ye Chen had burned his bridges with the Football Association, but the Football Association actually used Ye Chen's relationship with Lena as an example. This is too tasteless. He's 17 years old, and he's abroad. What's wrong with dating? How many football players became fathers before the age of 20? This does not affect the performance of the players. However, fan outrage was muted, likely influenced by the news of Ye Chen's drug test. If he was using, many fans wouldn't turn a blind eye. Many had already decided to renounce their support if the allegations were confirmed. Then, commentator Zhang Jun clarified on Weibo, the rumors of Ye Chen's drug use and detention were false. Tests were negative, and Cologne coach Solbakken was fined €50,000 for false accusations. The Bundesliga's official statement followed. The internet exploded again. Half an hour later, in the Football Association director's office, Chao Ji coldly handed Tan Bing his resignation. Chao Ji, a technician responsible for the Football Association's website. What's this? The Football Association doesn't treat you well? Everyone wants to work here. I wouldn't give them a chance. Tan Bing said condescendingly. Take back that letter. I'll give you one last chance. Chao Ji scoffed. Save your tricks. They won't work on me. Fans know that China's football is failing because of you parasites. Football isn't politics. It's not about your high-ranking status. Don't use your bureaucratic games to hurt football. And don't think I don't know who posted those negative posts. Tan Bing turned red. You're trying to piss me off. Don't forget, your parents paid 10 yuan for you to join the football association. Almost forgot. You have 1 day to return that 10 yuan, or I can't guarantee what might surface online. Chao Ji turned and left. He had been blind, his spine bent by life, but now he had woken up, ready to stand tall. Even if he couldn't fix Chinese football himself, he wouldn't enable the bad guys. Ye Chen was right. The Football Association was rotten to the core, and without serious reform, the future looked bleak. He was weak, a firefly compared to the Football Association, but when fireflies unite, they can shine. He would fight alongside Ye Chen. He would fight the corrupt Football Association to the bitter end. Chapter 70 Online Waiting, very urgent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sports Weekly. Ye Chen, suspected of using illegal drugs, is being investigated by the Bundesliga Organizing Committee. European football news. Bundesliga officials in uniform detained Ye Chen at 3:30 p.m. local time in Germany. He's suspected of doping, calling into question his true talent. A goal of the day, the 17-year-old Chinese phenom, Ye Chen, who's been tearing it up in the Bundesliga with 12 goals in 4 straight games, putting him in a tie with Huntelaar for the scoring lead, is now under investigation by the Bundesliga for alleged stimulant use. We'll have a full report coming up. These media outlets, in cahoots with the Football Association, have entered one picture says 1,000 words mode, blowing things way out of proportion. With more respected sports outlets jumping on the bandwagon, fans are starting to turn on him. I knew it. How else could a Chinese player score so many goals in the Bundesliga? Seriously, Ye Chen isn't that great. I've been following him for 2 years. He couldn't even get playing time with Manchester United's U18 team. Now he's suddenly dominating in the Bundesliga. He's probably juiced to the gills. Is he taking Viagra? Please, Viagra only works in one place. He's taking something that boosts his whole body. No wonder he's got a girlfriend at 17. Gotta say, she's a knockout. I used to think Dilyaba was hot, but now I'm all about Lena. I'm a Lena stan. Fans are easily swayed, like Liang Kailai said. Once suspicion takes root, people start connecting all sorts of dots. Meanwhile, Ye Chen is chilling at home watching the Bayern game. Schalke 04 already played, losing to Leverkusen on the road. Huntelaar's 2 goals put him back on top of the scoring charts, tied with Ye Chen. Ye Chen had 9 goals before his hat-trick brought him to 12. Before the kickoff, Bayern looked supremely confident after a narrow 1-0 loss to Dortmund in their first league game. They'd been undefeated ever since. That included a 2-0 Champions League win against Manchester City and another 2-0 victory over Villarreal. But the German Giants were in trouble in this match. Just 23 minutes in, Cherundolo threaded a pass to Abdelou, who slotted a shot into the far corner, beating Neuer. Hanover was up 1-0. Then, in the 28th minute, Bayern's star defender, Boateng, went in with a reckless scissor tackle and got a straight red card. Bayern was down a man. Bayern was behind on the scoreboard and a player short, but Bayern is Bayern, and they refused to let Hanover 96, even with the man advantage, score again. During halftime. Ye Chen was munching on fruit Lena had cut for him, chatting. You don't think Bayern will lose, do you? What's so shocking about that? Hanover is no pushover. Lena replied, do you even know what the score was the last time Hanover played Dortmund? Ye Chen shook his head. I wasn't here yet. Hanover 2-1 Dortmund. Lena held up 2 fingers. That was in the 5th round. After that game, Dortmund plummeted to 11th in the league. The media was all over them, saying they were a one-hit wonder, that Klopp's high-intensity style was burning out the players and shortening their careers. Ye Chen stared at her in surprise. How do you know so much about the Bundesliga? Lena giggled. You're playing in Dortmund. As your family, I need to stay informed. Ye Chen gave her a thumbs up, but just then his phone rang. It was Li Xinran. Li Xinran rarely, if ever, called him. She usually just hung around the training ground and chatted with him briefly when they crossed paths. Hey, reporter Li, what's up? Yechen answered. Did you give a urine sample to someone from the Bundesliga organizing committee? Yeah, why? A picture of your test was leaked online. It wouldn't be a big deal, but the domestic media are running wild with it, saying you're doping and under investigation. Li Xinran said bluntly. Even some of the big sports papers are reporting it. Aren't they worried about their reputation? Li Xinran replied quickly, check the screenshots I sent you on WeChat. Oh, and Sports Weekly also posted it, but I had nothing to do with that. I didn't even know about it. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Ye Chen wasn't about to blame Li Xinran, she was just doing her job. Wait. Li Xinran said hastily. I'm sorry about the question at the press conference. I shouldn't have asked that. It's fine. My answer was what I wanted to say anyway. Yechen didn't care, he felt life was too short to worry about everything, dwelling on the past was a waste of time. After hanging up with Li Xinran, Yechen checked his WeChat, sure enough, there were screenshots of news articles. Wow. These guys were really spinning it, they all used words like suspected, but the overall tone was clearly pointing the finger, pointing it where? Making fans think he was definitely doping. Yechen opened Weibo, and, yep, his name was trending, and it wasn't because of his hat trick, it was linked to illegal drugs. This was definitely a PR disaster. But was Yechen panicking? Not even a little bit. What's wrong? Something happened? Lena asked, concerned. Nothing much. Remember how I said I wouldn't join the football association? They're just trying to strong-arm me. Yechen smiled genuinely. He realized that you shouldn't panic in the face of adversity. More importantly, there was nothing to worry about. Yechen fired up the system to check his loyal fan count. TSK, it wasn't going up, it was going down. He could clearly see the plummeting popularity. It seemed this incident was costing him fans, so what should Yechen do? He went to his Weibo and posted, heard I was arrested and investigated by the Bundesliga for doping. Need a way to prove my innocence, waiting online, ASAP. The post instantly blew up. Seriously? You can still use Weibo while under investigation? What's going on? You need to explain. I'm so nervous. Did you use stimulants? That's all he needed to say. Isn't this his way of weaseling out of it? Just come back to China and play in the Chinese Super League. You're embarrassing us abroad.